Are ghosts real? Several recent encounters suggest there might be more things in heaven and earth than we can dream of.
So are werewolves just a Hollywood creation, or do half-man, half-wolf creatures really exist? Now, tonight, we kick off our Conspiracy Theory Month series, which was
The legend of the vampire actually goes back for centuries, and it exists in some form or another in almost every culture. In fact, some people believe the first vampire story was in the Bible.
Well, for decades, only crackpots and crazy people believed in UFOs. That's what I thought anyway. And then in recent years, it turns out that governments have been taking them seriously all along.
Try and clear up an ancient mystery with the help of a prominent veterinarian who says she can prove that Bigfoot exists and that he's related to all of us.
New reports, 5 pilots coming forward over the weekend saying they've had multiple mid-air encounters with high-flying, fast-moving objects.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to Season 4, Episode 5 of the hit underground paranormal radio show known as Celestial Oddities P.O.N.G, Pair of Normal Guys podcast, brought to you by Celestial Oddities Radio. As always, I am your host, Frater Crow.
And I'm your co-host, Daniel James.
And if you've missed any of our past 4 episodes, please feel free to jump in. We've talked about several different items from, false red flags to Russian sleep experiments to Bigfoot and so forth. Tonight, we have our Odd Worlds portion of the series where a couple times a year, a couple times a season, we bring on listeners just like you to tell the strange and, extraordinary stories of the unexplained. And tonight, we have a call-in. We have a couple write-ins that we're going to read off and some different things that we'll be discussing this evening. So I open the invite to all of you out there. If you are listening and you would like to be on the show, drop a comment and I'll send you the link and we'll bring you on here in a little bit. So last week, if you're 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, I don't know, it's all blur. If you tried to tune in for our interview with the Bigfoot experts, Jamie and Jenny King, I apologize. For some reason, they were unable to connect to the show. We tried multiple times. We delayed the show about a half an hour to try to get that fixed for them, and it just wasn't happening. So we will try to bring them back on later in the season. But we're here tonight with Odd World. So Dan, I know that you're always a big fan of this portion of the season as well.
That's right.
So if you are listening out there, please click the share button, follow button, subscribe button, like button, whatever buttons they give you, you click the hell out of them. Mm-hmm. It helps move us up the podcast community rankings, allows more people to discover the show, keeps you in the loop with new episodes as they air, and gives you unfiltered access to our past archives of this show, P.O.N.G, Pair of Normal Guys, of our Knights of the Nephilim series, and our retired show, Uncovering the Underground. There are a couple hundred episodes, thousands of hours of radio that you can go and check out. So I ask that you do that. And, we're excited to be back this evening with a great episode. We have people already tuning in. We got a comment coming in, says, dudes, I pushed all the buttons, she says. Well, thank you for clicking those buttons. If any more buttons pop up, you click them. We also have a comment coming in, says, what's up, guys? Ready for the amazing show? And that's from Sylvia. We're ready for an amazing show as well. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Terry from Texas. We don't know what she's going to share with us. We don't know what her stories are. A lot of times we like to keep it that way, so it's very raw. We're hearing it alongside of you guys. So we are excited to hear, what she's experienced and discuss those a little bit. If you have comments, you want to leave them, feel free to do so. And like I said, if you yourself want to jump on the show this evening, after Terry finishes up, we have a couple stories to read. But anybody that pops in and says, I want to come on, I'll drop you the link. You can come on. We'll talk to you about a couple stories if we have time. So are we ready, Dan?
We're so ready.
All right, guys, without further ado, let's bring on Terry from Texas.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
Thank
Terry,
you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm doing well.
What's going on?
Well, you're going to have to cut me off eventually because I actually have a lot of stories. I was a psych nurse for a while. I also traveled in the military, and I grew up all over the world, too, with my father being in the military. So I have the advantage of collecting a lot of different stories from all different kinds of people all over the place, too. So I know for one thing is that there's got to be something going on. Otherwise, it wouldn't be written in history for centuries all over the world about very similar situations, too. But I can say well, when I was a psych nurse, I had a patient once that she was not like any of the other ones. And if she were to ask for something and I was able to give it to her, I wouldn't try to do anything else other than give it to her, because I just had a feeling like I did not want to make this person angry. I didn't want to make any of my patients angry, but she just had a feeling to her, I guess. One day we had an actual inspection team that was coming in, and my supervisor, who didn't really hang out with the patients like us nurses did, we were with them constantly because it was inpatient, decided that she's going to try to force communicate with her. And this patient wasn't really one of those kind of people to do that. And in a low, growly voice, the patient said, "Leave me alone." And she didn't. I don't know what she was trying to prove to the inspection group. Obviously, she didn't know this patient very well. She decided to go ahead and put her hand on the patient's shoulder to like try to friend her or something. And this patient just went berserk, like Gumby. And I'm talking like an 80-year-old person. Put this person on the floor, even though we've had training to do restraints and everything. When we did get her restrained, unfortunately, and tried to calm her down, she coded. She died. She completely was just dead. Like, we had the code team come, doctors were resuscitating her and everything. When she was on the table, she just did this big breath, and like her chest lifted up. It was like, like in a scary movie. And she grabbed it and started choking him to death. Like, she went from dead for minutes, dead, and we were about to, just call the time, to choking the life out of a much younger man. I talked to some older nurses after that, and they said that there were just sometimes for patients that you could tell it was not psych. It wasn't psych. They didn't know what it was. After this happened, the patient would have other voices come out of her. She's just completely different. So I'm not sure if she had something in her already, or maybe she was close to the brink, or what was going on. But apparently that was something that happened very frequent in the psych realm, and there's just no explanation for it. So it was so creepy. There were so many witnesses to it, including an entire like OSHA team that probably never came back after that. But yeah, I mean, there was nothing to explain it. It had to be some kind of entity or something that was already in her, and she was never the same after that either. Like, I just continued to give her whatever she asked and just let her be peaceful, because I didn't want to ever see that again. I don't know if
Daniel and
Daniel
I have actually talked a little bit about that. It was this season, folks. So if you're listening out there, season 4, episode 1, we had Russian sleep experiments, and Daniel and I talked about. In this case, it was human experimentation on the depths of mind, but even someone who goes through a psychotic break, or maybe is afflicted with some type of psychic or mental illness, can open up doorways within their mind to other realms. So it could be something that it's not mental at all, and it is truly just an attachment. Or more likely, what happens a lot of times is someone does have mental illness or something going on where they're able to actually internally access and open doorways to let other things in. Then once it feeds off of that, because that person's already in a certain negative vibratory state, it's food to it, but then it amplifies it. So as you said, the very superhuman strength where it slammed the lady to the ground, and then choking a younger doctor, and then dying and coming back, a lot of things that could be brought about from something not exactly from here, using that person as a vessel and host, though the vessel probably partially was to blame as well because of her mental state. I mean, Daniel, do you agree with that?
Yeah, when sometimes, the elderly or even somebody that's terminally ill, it's not uncommon that that person can actually, in a sense, like their soul or their consciousness can actually leave before the physical body dies. And if that does happen, then your body can be used as what's called as like a walk-in, almost like an avatar. Like the other entities can see that vessel as, in a sense, like a machine that it can occupy. And that, you could call it possession, but it's also known as kind of like a walk-in situation. And that's sort of what it feels like.
And that the eyes changing, that's what really freaked me out. And I actually saw that happen one other time, and that was also with an elderly person. So
Okay.
maybe, like you said, maybe their will, because I know I was very close to hospice when I did home
Yeah.
health care, just because, trying to help the family get ready for the inevitable, or even the patient to make sure that they were ready for that, the end of life. And
Right.
sometimes hospice wasn't able to get in there before. So I ended up being the last person. And some of the things that you would hear, like ghost presence, like right before somebody's about to pass, like people would be
Mm.
like, we've been hearing dad here, or he's been pacing upstairs or closing doors or going to his room. It's almost like it's a beacon or something that attracts even more spirits, and hopefully it's family, because it's comforting to the people about to leave. Or they'll see memories, they'll see their children as children, even though their kids were older than me most of the time, playing
Sure.
in the living room. And I just took it as, if it was comforting, that was fine too. But some things, yeah, it is a beacon. Even in personal experience, I know that my mother passed away 3 years ago. Actually, just a few days ago. And then my aunt, it was just her little sister, ended up passing a few days later. And I thought it was odd because my mom had been gone for 3 years, but there were so many things happening in the house that told me she was near. And I hadn't had that before. So I wasn't sure, until after the fact that my aunt had died, maybe she had come back to bring her to wherever the next journey was after that too. So yeah, anyone that's terminal, older, maybe it is, maybe their will's like, I'm ready to go, and then another entity sees a possibility to get into that body, even if just for a little bit, to enjoy
Right.
being in a body again, and
Right.
that's where the evil comes in. But I have seen the black eyes twice on people that were terminal, and it's different. There's no medical explanation for your eyes turning completely black and then back to normal again.
Well, in Hollywood, and Daniel and I have talked about this in the past, where Hollywood uses a lot of things that are factual and in real life, but they make it in a way that's scary, but it's also like, oh, it's just a movie. But like the black
Mhm.
eye thing, not always in possession. There's possessions where the eyes do not change, but I have certainly been witness several occasions where eyes have changed and gone black. That is a real thing that Hollywood's used in movies of possession and demonic, hindrance. But as you said, you nailed it on the head whenever you mentioned something stepping through even for just a little bit to experience life again. I think that a lot of
Mhm.
times the state of the individual can be so weak or gone at that point that it just steps in, as Daniel said, a walk-in, and just takes over that vessel for a little while. They might not
Mhm.
even be alive anymore. That's the thing, is in the very,
Mhm.
very end, that person might have already passed, and they were
Mhm.
able to converge and shift. Just as that person was passing, the other one jumped in, and for a little bit, they can kind of operate that body until that life force runs out, and then they go back to where they're
And
from.
they probably feel the weakness too, because like I said, when my aunt, I didn't know that she was going to pass away within days of my mom's anniversary like that. So maybe it is like a giant beacon that comes out of nowhere, and that attracts the good and the bad. Just the soul, the will goes. It's like, okay, I'm ready to go, and maybe there's some kind of essence or something that's given out that letting other things know, and it's not always the good.
Right.
Well, you have things like larvae, or what is also referred to as kayumbas, that are the fragments of the dead, and some are parasitic, demonic type of entities, that they do slip through. They're when something spiritual happens, someone leaves, someone summons an entity during ritual and things of that nature. Any type of big discharge or opening of a doorway, these things slip through. That they're like moths or lantern flies. They come to the light. So when they see
Mm-hmm.
the light coming, they see a door shift, a portal, they do try to slip in, and they're the fragments often of past dead people, and they kind of linger around. So when they see someone else dying, and they're like, oh shit, here's my chance. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, they do try to jump in and take advantage of that if they can. So that definitely makes sense.
Oh, that's what it's in the medical field. There's so many things. Like if you see a person in a blue dress, either it was a woman or a child on the ward, that you knew that one of your patients were going to pass. And I heard that so many times from other nurses over the years too, like old nurses, like 80s, 90s. No offense to anybody watching that's 80 or 90, but yeah, there's just, and maybe that's some kind of beacon of some sort. Maybe that something is tracks, but yeah, death. We don't understand all of it, of course. I like to believe that we're kind of recycled because energy can't be destroyed. And maybe some energies like to just hang out in the state they're in. I mean, and I had to remind myself that too as a nurse, that just because somebody's older and they're cute, and I love my little old people, some of them were bad people too when they were younger. So just because they're older doesn't mean that they're always, you know, and childlike. So they had some kind of evil thing attached to them their entire lives, or they're just an evil person. I don't know, but.
Well, and you nailed it. I mean, every horrible person, truly just despicable person that hasn't died from being murdered or out of the blue or anything like that, they grow old. So old people, you know, if they live to an old age, a lot of people that are old once were pieces of shit and probably still are. So I mean, you know, that's there. And I mean, Lyra had mentioned, I had it up there a minute ago. Oh, still on there. What about sundowners? Y'all ever heard about that in the elderly? Yes. I mean, psychotic episodes of just paranoia and dementia and all kinds of other things. That could also be explainable. I mean, when chemicals in your brain mix at a very fast rate, it can cause wild things. I mean, you could have a crank of adrenaline that makes you take tasers and not go down. I mean, look at people smoking crank and crystal meth and angel dust and everything. They're getting blasted with tasers and they're just like, you know, it doesn't even affect them. It's because when certain chemicals mix, wild shit happens. So that can be a part of it as well. But, you know, like you said, it was different than normal. It wasn't your ordinary experience with someone in the psych ward.
No,
we have
that's
a comment here. Let's see. I'm popping up a couple other ones, but we have a comment here. I'm getting to it here. There we go. What do you think happens if dying person comes back from the dead? I mean, it just depends. I mean, the thing is, they're never dead, Tom. I mean, they're always around us. So obviously, Tom is actually on my paranormal investigation team. We go out and investigate and talk to the dead quite often, but the thing is they're all around us in way, shapes, or forms or another. So whether we're interacting with them in a paranormal investigation or there's a lot of the silent ones, you have the revenants and you have the phantoms of sorts. Some of those don't commune through ghost boxes. Some of them don't commune through other normal methods, but they're still very much there. I mean, behind me right now, to the unseen eye, there's dead people all around me in this basement. I mean, I've kind of formulated this basement to be a safe haven for the dead. But they're here. I don't always even myself see them or experience them, but they're here all the time. My TV comes on all the time. Stuff moves in my basement. So, I mean, I think a lot of them linger. But what I think is there's a fractalization of person from psyche or soul to spirit. I think the spiritual essence moves on. The residue of the soul drops. It lingers around as ghosts and revenants. They still believe they're alive, or they still interact. They still talk. They can still answer. But they're not that person. That person will be recycled and reincarnated again and again and again as different people. But every time a person dies, the soul falls. It's like the spaceship. When it goes up into space, we watch it, you know, the NASA's launching a spacecraft. As it goes up and breaches the atmosphere, the bottom part falls off. That bottom part is your identity, your psyche, your soul. The top part's your spirit. It's going back home to be recycled. The soul lingers in the atmosphere, and the sublunar atmosphere, actually. When you get into ritual magic, everything that you communicate with for the most part is in the sublunar regions. That's why you access them through the moon. But they linger around, Tom. They're all here. So, you know, people say, where's my loved ones? Well, that's a two-part answer. Your loved one has moved on, but your loved one is also still here, and they can still be talked to, but it gets sketchy because they don't know fully who they are or what happened to them. And do you really want to talk to who you loved so dearly that's really only a fragment of themselves? It can get sketch. So just be careful with that.
Well, I have some personal experience with dying too, as my heart has stopped 3 times.
Wow.
I actually was medevaced from Iraq when I was in the military, and I still don't know what happens when you die because I'm not sure if I wasn't dead very long. But I can say that it was a very scary experience when I had it. So, and that was my own experience too. I could feel my blood pressure drop. It felt like a black tunnel closing, and it was just nothing. And the last thing I could remember was being afraid that I was going to pee myself because I thought all my stuff was going to evacuate and I would embarrass myself. So even, in death, I was worried about vanity, I guess. I don't know. But after that happened, things were different for me too. Like as far as my cell phones don't last that long. I have problems with my credit card. I have problems with wearing watches, that kind of thing. And I do seem to attract more different kinds of experiences. And that's with like animals too. If something's injured, it'll come up to me. I'm like Snow White now or something. So I don't know if maybe my soul's just kind of opened up just a little bit to where things think that they're more invited to interact with me because of that. But I mean, even like with my mother passing, I think they get confused when they first leave. They might not know that they're gone yet. And then I think sometimes that as much as we do want them and miss them, we need to let them go do their next journey too. And I don't want to make her feel like she's stuck because her 43-year-old daughter still wants her, which I do. But we need to let them go too, which is a hard thing to do. I mean, we wouldn't want to suffer in any realm, and it's time for her to go live in a new journey somewhere, hopefully in a better world than what we have currently. But yeah, I'll just ramble forever. Compliments of a brain injury in Iraq, but yeah, I mean, there's been so many experiences. I think some people too are just more sensitive, and maybe our souls are a little older. Maybe we remember little bits of things. My mom said that when I moved out, when I joined the military, that things in the house got a lot less creepy. They used to call me the spirit meter because if anybody was buying a house or going somewhere, they'd ask Terry if I could feel a ghost. I think some people are just more sensitive to that. But then again, I made a really good nurse as far as psych. Like if people had a lot of traumas or anything, they would open up to me quicker. And I think some people are just like open beacon souls, and we attract all different kinds of broken souls because we are ourselves too. Like I said, I'll just ramble forever, but
no,
yeah,
I think you're correct. I mean, people are just, some people are more naturally prone to have experiences than others. Now we can all hone in on that and sharpen that, but some people just naturally have more of a gift of that. And when you have experience like sudden, or near death or sudden death experiences where you're able to come back from, the way I look at it is like comparing a lighter flame to a campfire. You went as a lighter flame, but as you were gone for that period of time before you were brought back, it was able to light that campfire. So as you come back, you still feel like you, but maybe a little different. But now you're burning like a campfire. So now you're able to be visible by a lot more things, a lot more people. You can see a lot more things because your flame gives off much more luminescence that you can see further in the ethers. So I think it kind of works both ways, as things are more attracted to you, but you can also now see further, if that makes sense, than you once did before, because you're a little less of what you were and a little more of what you actually are, which is spirit. So that makes a lot of sense. We have someone here saying, you have a welcoming energy that attracts paranormal energies like a lighthouse. Yep. So we got some different comments coming here. Thank you guys for commenting in, and everybody else listening. If you want to comment in, by all means, please feel free to do so. We always admire your comments, and we always like to post them up on the screen. So Terry, any other big stories that you can think of? Obviously those are a couple great ones, so thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for your service, obviously, in the military. Anything else that you can think of that's just been kind of like a whoa moment that is really unexplainable?
A whoa moment. Well, I'll try to get past, like, we've had a lot of people pass in our family recently, so I've seen.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, and you have to remind yourself that too. We can't control everything. We can do the best we can with what we have. So just be a good person, and then wherever you end up is going to be a good place. I mean, that's why I hate when people fight about religion, because when you've met so many different kinds of people, is so alike. If you're just not a butthole, you won't end up in a bad place someday. You know. There you
We
go.
create
That's
our own
easy,
hell. I
right?
mean, hell and heaven are just merely frequencies that we put ourselves
Hmm.
in. They're not. There's not a heaven that meets everybody's expectations. There is your heaven, and the reason for religion is to be able to formulate a structure that you believe in, that you live by, in a code of ethics,
Hmm.
to ascend past the bubble and reach your state of nirvana and euphoria. So everybody has their own unique heaven or hell. It's just the way you live will depict whether or not you make it to your heaven or you
Hmm.
end up in your hell. And I think that happens for a lot of us. Your heaven might be being around all your loved ones. And when you die, there's a good chance you'll be around all your loved ones. Someone else's life might be in a low vibration and they hate themselves. They hate the world. Everything's shitty. And when they die,
Hmm.
they end up being in a far worse place than the shithole that they believe they're in now.
Yeah, no, I mean, but as far as scary things, I know the one that my family talked about the most, because my grandfather was a hospital administrator, so he moved a lot, and then of course we had military members all over the family. And he was at an old horse farm in Elkins, West Virginia, and I actually have a friend that's supposed to find out if it still exists, because apparently this place was so creepy that my mother, my grandmother, nobody would ever give me the address, because I love to go hunt and go look for that kind of stuff too. They knew Terry would be going there to go see what was going on. But I guess it was a really old horse farm in Elkins, and maybe somebody listening might even know where it is. I guess it had a fireplace. It was back when my mother was really young, so we're talking like early 80s. When I was just a baby, I could barely walk. So she stayed there because my dad had training in the military or something, and she used to go home a lot. And my younger sister hadn't been born yet, so I was probably like 1, and I shouldn't even been able to walk yet. Apparently, I went up like 4 flights of stairs and decided to try to fall out of a window by myself, and they heard me screaming because the window shut on my wrist. And I don't know why they didn't have somebody watching a baby, but apparently there was no way I should have been able to get up there. But they had several animals. They had a whole batch of kittens, I guess, that got decapitated and all the blood removed up in the attic. They had a German Shepherd they saw fall down the stairs really odd, and then its head twisted really weird. And then my aunt, who just passed away, would have a man come into her room that was like really scary and frightening looking at all hours of the night. So I'm not sure, something evil must have happened there for so many things to be hurt, or killed, even on top of that. And that's always made me wonder too, like, is that where like some kind of attachment decided to hang on to me, since I've always been the weird one that had the weird things happen the rest of my life? Or I don't know, but I'd love to know more history about that. I know it was an old horse farm that a doctor at that time had owned and let my family use. But like I said, I'll jump all over the place. But
West
I
Virginia
don't know
is a
what
very
happened there.
West Virginia is a very unique state. In fact, Daniel was just there. We'll talk
I was
about.
just there for 3 days this week.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little later in the episode. But Daniel was just there cryptid hunting, and there are a lot of cryptid beasts, cryptid creatures, as you want to call them, that
Mhm.
are in the forests of West Virginia. There's a lot of strange activity. They're highly paranormal. So there's an option that it could be a spirit, or it could
Mhm.
be some type of creature that we're just not seeing on our frequency band, that was killing these things. Because with it being so physical, to kill a German Shepherd, to kill cats,
Mhm.
to do all these other physical things, it could be spirit. But the amount of energy that a spirit or entity would need to be able to do that is very great. But something like something like a dog man, or something like a yeti, or the goblin creatures that you do hear about in West Virginia run rampant, might have some way of being incognito, where they can't be seen by the normal eye, and they're able to kind of disguise themselves. And they are vicious little beasts. We've had people tell us about them. We've personally, off the air, have had people tell us stories about goblin creatures, not only in West Virginia but here in Pennsylvania as well. I've personally never seen one, but I've heard a lot of stories about them. And there's a series that Daniel and his significant other brought me on to a little while back called Hellisher, or Hellier. It's a series on Netflix or Amazon or one of them. If you're listening out there, people, look it up. It's actually very good. And it's about cryptids, and they're goblins. They're little alien goblin creatures that were spotted multiple times. They live in the mountains. They burrow under the earth. And they have been seen, and they are mischievous little goblins. So very well could be what they are, because West Virginia, like I said, is a just hotbed of activity. And I think a main reason for that is just the mere size and density of their lush forests. Beautiful
Well,
forests.
isn't it one of the oldest mountain ranges like in the world?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, there's a possibility there's been tons of things there forever that haven't been, like, you know, flooded or broken into other masses or anything. So, I mean, who knows what's been there for so long.
Well, and my wife and I, we just went to, why am I going blank right now? Big ass rock. Anyway, Cooper's Rock. Thank you. We went out to Cooper's Rock recently, and some of the trails near Cooper's Rock, I mean, you're walking on the woods, it's just flat, and then there's a crevice that goes down into the earth, and they're canyons, and you walk down into it, and you're now below the normal level of what the wood line looks like, but you're in these crevices that they're like mountainsides, and you're walking through, and they're beautiful, but they're also very eerie. That when you listen, it's very quiet back there. You're now in these crevices that something could jump out and take you. No one would know. And it's very easy to get lost there. I mean, my wife and I even followed the trails, but at one point we kind of wandered off the trails, and we had to look around for a little while and say, where did we come to this point at? It was like we got discombobulated a little bit. So it would be very easy to get lost there. And I think that's why a lot of creatures like different cryptids, alienistic beings and things like places like that, because it's very easy to hide. It's very easy to find food. It's very easy to attack things if they're malicious, and just, really be able to survive without much notice.
Well, there's supposed to be a whole lost tribe, I think, of, was it white-skinned, blue-eyed, Native American, like pre-Native American people that lived in caverns in the Appalachia in the mountains. So that might even be something else too. I love this kind of weird stuff, but we actually owned a store in Morgantown for a while that was the city's first morgue. And I didn't know that they built up some of it, the city, as, things evolutionized or whatever. So if you went into the basement of our store, you could see where the old city street was and where the chute was, where they'd actually bring the bodies when it was too cold to bury them or frozen. And yeah, that was a freaky place too. We actually had some ghost hunters come out to there. I didn't have any bells in the shop, and you hear them all the time. Things crawling, things beckoning for you. My little girl would go play upstairs by herself for hours with another little girl that wasn't there. And when the ghost hunters used one of those voice machines, they asked if there was a little girl there, and there was a really nasty voice that came over and said that no. Apparently there were several spirits there, but definitely a place that you guys will have to check out for investigation sometime, if they allow you to do it. But yeah, I mean, there's so much history everywhere. I mean, you'd have to be really silly to think that, somebody didn't die right where everybody's standing at any single moment, that there's going to be angry spirits, there's going to be good spirits. They're saying there's definitely aliens. We all already kind of knew that. I mean, there's just so many unknowns in this world that, you can't go around being afraid of life.
You can't be, and there's more unknown than known. And I mean, like you said, I mean, any certain area we travel in, there's been people die there. I mean, it's just kind of how it is. Now, we have a comment here that says the moon people, talking about the white-eyed or the blue-eyed white tribe. We have another comment here from Tom. Dawn and I heard a female screaming in the woods around 1:30 a.m. on our cabin deck in Laurel Highlands in the top of the mountains. That'd be scary, just randomly 1:30, just hear a woman screaming in the dens of the woods. I think about all the dead people beneath me all the time. Now, one thing you said, Terry, that Daniel, I think you probably were thinking the same thing I said, or thinking the same thing I was when she said it. The downstairs of the morgue area of Morgantown, going down, but then seeing where the old street was, reminiscent of the Tartarian mud floods. We had
Right.
an episode a few seasons ago, folks. If you didn't catch that, go back and listen to it. There are sections of the world where under the ground, you go down 30 feet down or 20 feet, you're on the basement level, and you were on like the second floor of several buildings where the streets used to be. There's windows that go straight to mud because the Tartarian mud floods were said to have covered a huge section of the continent over towards Asia, and destroyed buildings and wiped away a civilization. And then if you look at old maps, there used to actually be Tartaria, on the map, which they got rid of most of those maps, but you can actually find old maps where this continent that never existed was on the maps. Go figure. And now it's not, but it's very interesting because, as you said, Terry, we don't understand the history that's beneath our feet, but we certainly don't, because the forces that be have also lied to us and re-altered history heavily. And what we're told is our history, and we understand as history, is a very different history than what historically happened.
Oh, so you just got to go find it yourself, and that's why I tell my kids to. I have a 22-year-old all the way down to 14. We don't want to repeat the wrongs in our past. I mean, it's unnecessary. We need to learn from those and not do them again. But it's the same as far as understanding others' cultures, and you got to go find your knowledge. If you actually go to a place and you ask the people and you go look at the books that weren't, mass printed and stuff, there's so much you could still learn. I was actually stationed in a base in Utah that had a lot of the Japanese American citizens that were taken to concentration camps, basically, right after Pearl Harbor. I mean, how many people, other than probably Japanese descendants, remember that? And those caverns or tunnels are still there. We used to go there when I was a teenager, when we probably shouldn't have, and they're flooded. I mean, look how we've treated people over the years, and then our kids don't even know how things happened back then, and it's all like beneath our feet. Those tunnels are still there. We treated actual American citizens like crap because, I wouldn't say we, most of those people aren't here anymore, but because of something that happened from a different country, basically. So yeah, there's tons of history everywhere. People need to just go look for it. History doesn't always have to be boring, and it doesn't always have to have omissions either. And yeah, ghost hunting, maybe that's why some ghosts are pissed off, because things horrible that happen to them and their people, are forgotten. I don't know.
Very much agree. We have, I want to see the catacombs, is something Lyra said, as far as a place, which is one of the places I would love to go see, is on my bucket list. And then we have Happy Veterans Day. You are a beautiful healer, talking about you, Terry. So once again, we do thank you for your service, and absolutely happy Veterans Day. Other than that, we do want to thank you, Daniel and I, for coming on the show, sharing with us your experiences, and getting to, meet you and talk to you for a little while. Anything else you want to say before you jump off?
Oh, no. I mean, this was fun. Anytime you guys want to hear me ramble, you know how to get a hold of me. And someday I hope to move back to my my West Virginia roots too, because I do miss it there.
It's a beautiful state, so hopefully you make your way back there at some point in time. And we really appreciate you coming on, sharing with us your stories. And once again, happy Veterans Day.
Oh, thank you guys. And thank you again. Bye.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. We've talked about it in the past. Doorways coming through because of something mental going on, whether it be trauma, whether it be old age, whether it be dementia, whatever it is, that it can access those doorways for something to step through. And it's always interesting because there's so many things, as Terry said, so many different things we don't understand that can come through, not just ghosts. We always want to think in terms of ghosts or spirits. As you and I talked about, Daniel, I think that there's a lot of cryptids that operate on a frequency level that take shape when they want to, but they are also very much spiritual beings. And I think they can afflict us the same way as ghosts or demons can.
That's right. It's just because we don't understand them, or we don't know the science behind them, or they might even seem animalistic, doesn't mean that they aren't spiritually conscious in a way that makes them more advanced than us in some ways.
Well, we have to think too that like skinwalkers and different dogmen, if we follow history, we're following the belief that they were Indian shamans that practiced black magic who were so deep into their dark practice that they were able to astrally shift into these beings. So
Right.
while they were sleeping, they consciously casted out astral projections of these animalistic beings that terrorize the world. And when they die, they
Yes.
just stay in that astral form. But that's the perfect example is you see a dog man, the dog man can leave scratches on the tree, the dog man can rip your throat out. But the dog man could be a person sleeping 100 miles away or a person who has passed and left that astral double to roam the world. But that's a spirit that is strong enough that when it swings its arm, if it chooses to, can actually hit something and break it or slice it. But it's still a spiritual being. And a lot of people don't. I think you and I are the only people I really hear talk about that I think that is what Bigfoot is in most cases. I think Bigfoot, for example, is a spiritual entity that can take on physicality. And that's why we don't capture them on film because they disrupt film. I think that they are hard to capture in general or get any real solid evidence because they can come and go and shapeshift and go into different portal holes or wormholes as they choose. So it's damn near impossible to ever really get any tangible evidence.
So we have a comment here I'm going to read off. This is by Hunter. When I first moved into this new house we live in now in Paris, Tennessee, at like 3 a.m. in the morning, we heard bloody screaming for help out in the woods. And when we went to investigate the area, we actually found some ripped clothing. No blood or anything, but it looked like a war happened on the ground all around. I thought it was very strange. Any thoughts you have about what could have happened?
I mean, hopefully it was something spiritual and not an actual attack where someone was fighting for their life. Because I mean, that's always a possibility. We don't like to think about that, but you could have someone who jumped out of a car and was running through the woods and the perpetrator chased them and, wrestled them there. And that might've been one of their last moments of life. I mean, that does happen, obviously. So hopefully that wasn't it with ripped clothing, sounds like that, but it could be something just, paranormal.
When I was studying the missing 411 really heavy, which has a lot of ties to Sasquatch, to Bigfoot, one of the themes that you would find in research is they would find ripped up clothing from missing people. That was a thing in the missing 411 I found. There was a little paper trail of evidence, and I wonder if, allowing there to be a paranormal aspect to this, because I think that if it was just something as simple as like a criminal attack, some crazy person out in the middle of nowhere attacked another person, it's kind of hard for them to just vanish into the night without any sort of like supernatural element to it, like beings like the Sasquatch, who I believe are like somewhat, in a sense, interdimensional. It might even be able to phase in and out of our realm, out of our frequency, out of our vibrational perception band.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, Dan? In fact, just last night, and I was going to talk to you about this. What the hell was that? I just heard a double of what you said a minute ago back to me. Did you hear that?
No.
I just heard just a second ago out of our realm, out of our frequency band, and it was you saying it. That was odd.
They're here.
They're here. So I read last night in an old magical tome of mine talking about ancient magic about, and I can't remember the exact term, and I wish I had it down here to look at it. It talked about the missing 411, but from a perspective hundreds of years ago. So long before 411, and it talked about the disappearance of hundreds of people in the woods, just vanished because of the Fae, a malicious sect of Fae or fairies that were attacking people and causing them to vanish, whether they're making them just poof or they're dragging them down into a cave system somewhere. I don't know. But I literally just last night read in this section, it called them something specific. It said the Fae something. I can't remember the term they used. It was interesting, but it talked specifically about hundreds of years ago, and it was talking about Africa, in Brazil. So two different areas of the world, so Africa and Brazil, where these people were vanishing in the forests and the woods at night, gone, or even in broad daylight in some cases, just vanished. No trace of them, just gone. So that it's very interesting and reminiscent of our episode, folks. And we can segue into a lot of this during our episodes. We did an episode on missing 411, where all the people around the world, especially here in the United States, have gone hiking, state parks. Yeah, state national parks, who are professional fishermen and hikers and hunters, just poof, gone, never seen again. Some cases, clothes were left. There's one in particular I remember we talked about. They found his backpack, they found his boots. No him, but his boots were just laying at one point, and there's a huge snowstorm, so he wouldn't have made it more than like a mile walking bare feet, but they never found him.
Right.
It's very interesting. And then, as Terry said, what is out there? What do we not understand? What if there is this group of fae that attack human beings? They wait for that opportune moment that this asshole's out here by himself. Let's get him. And what do they do with us? It's very.
I think that we can't assume that all of the entities that we hear about and we read about and we see in movies and TV shows that depict sort of like this fantasy realm of like peaceful creatures. I think that there's a whole world out there that we don't see, we don't hear, we don't smell, we don't taste, we don't touch, that has entities like this that are a little bit mischievous, nefarious, malevolent even, and they will absolutely snatch you up if given the opportunity. And that's just a fact. And so maybe this person, Hunter, maybe this person, I think due to the fact that there's just vanished without any trace other than the torn up clothes, is evident of like some sort of supernatural, paranormal, even maybe cryptid situation where they were just in a sense taken.
I agree. And I mean, if people always say the ultimate evil is human beings, I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah, we're pretty bad, and there's a lot of bad things human beings do. But I would say that there's probably some cryptids and aliens and spirits and all kinds of different things out there that just generally don't give a shit about us.
Right.
Think about it, folks. Dogman looks terrifying, and maybe he's just a nice boy, and you can talk to him and scratch him behind his ears, and he'll love it. But there's a good chance he's going to rip your fucking face off. And he might not feel one way or another. It might not be that he's evil. It might just be that to us, we're
That's
food.
Their
We're
nature.
prey. That's their nature. I would have to say that I would think that, skinwalkers and dogmen are probably pretty vicious and against our agenda of wanting to survive. We have some comments here. We have one that says, hello, Freighter, made at least one live before you ended. Well, thank you, Laura, for tuning in. I know you've been wanting to check one out for a while. We have her also saying they called it a bobo. Bobo. I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but I don't want to meet a bobo in any sense of the way. No bobos for me. I have one here that says, I think in general, humans are very stupid and brainwashed from society and childhood and have closed minds. We do, because a lot of people don't believe any of this shit exists. And then people that do, like Daniel said, you have people out there like, they're all our friends. It reminds me of Independence Day with Will Smith. They're all on top of the skyscraper and they're like, we want to meet you. And then it just fucking annihilates the whole building. Like, that's what I think of when some of these people go out there. Like, I'm going to go out in the woods and I'm going to meet the Dogman or these goblin creatures we talked about, and they're going to be cool with me because I'm cool with them. Probably not, probably not.
Probably not. And here's one more thing I'll say also, Hunter, if you're still listening. What if this screaming wasn't actually a missing person, but what if it's a lure, a trap to get real people to come out into the woods?
We just got that comment come across too, funny enough. It says the spirit may have been luring them into the forest, coming from Terry. That is true. There are things, especially in my realm, folks. So Daniel investigates more of the cryptid and alienistic side. I investigate the spirit side and go a lot of different places. You'll have a common occurrence where a spirit will present itself as a child. And sometimes it is the spirit of a child, sure. But a lot of times it's not the spirit of a child, and it takes the form of a child because it wants to feed off you because of your sympathy, your sorrow, your worry, or it wants to lure you into places. There are times where child entities will appear and they'll walk back into the most sketch places of the building and they're like, come help me.
Right.
Come help. And you're like, oh, I need to go help this. What are you going to do? It's dead. If it is a spirit, what the hell are you going to do to save this thing? You're not. So when it's like, come back here and help me, and then everybody's like, I got to go help, and especially the mother types, they're like, oh, but I have children too. Well, so does fucking everybody else. So when you're like, I want to go help this thing, and it's like, yeah, come on back. You know, there's a probably good chance you don't want to go back there. Case in point, there's a place in Ohio, I won't say the name, that has an entity of a child, and it's not a child. It is a demonic parasitic entity. I've come face to face with it. It possessed a kid that I had to exorcise and all kinds of other shit that's happened there. It's possessed a few people now. It pretends to be a little girl, and it pretends that it needs help, and it cries. There's a specific ghost box session that happened. It was one of the most profound in my life, where it was pretending to be the little girl, literally talking as a little girl through a spirit box, crying, saying, help me, please, help me, please. And the other people there were like, oh my God. They're like, what can we do to help you? This and that. And I knew it wasn't what it said it was, because I've had previous encounters. And I says, you are not the little girl you're pretending to be. Tell us who you really are. I don't believe you for a second. It went instantly from a little girl going to full blown laughing across the ghost box. And then I says, what is it that you really want? And this is a true story, guys. I'm not bullshitting you or you know, jerking your chain. It started laughing as a very evil laugh. And I says, what is it you truly want? And it says, blood. I want blood. Through the ghost box. I've never heard that anywhere else in my life except for this one place. And there was about 9 other people there, and they were all like, holy shit. I says, yeah, you guys were all just giving into this thing, ready to do anything you could to help it. I'm like, and this was a monster luring you into the cave. That's exactly what it is. So Hunter, there's a very good chance that something was just trying to get you out there, maybe just to watch you. Obviously you're still here, but maybe just to watch you, or maybe it wasn't the right time for it to pounce on you. We'll never know. He says, we live out just, I'll pop it up here. We live just outside of the city and have about 60 acres of land around us, with only one road to come in and one road to go out. But it's actually something that has been happening in my town a lot. A friend of mine has a story similar to mine on his family farm. I think, I think it is longer than what it can show on the screen. On hundreds of acres of farmland and woods, and almost exactly the same with the screaming, then found clothes on the ground toward him. Now that's weird. It's one thing to hear the screams, but to also find clothes on the ground in his farm.
There's something reoccurring in each case.
Very strange.
And he mentions, okay, we're talking like, you know, farmland, acres out here. He's in Paris, Tennessee. There's just like remote areas. So if you have like screaming and then there's clothes there, but there's no people, if he lives, 60 acres of land, he says, there isn't going to be a lot of civilians just wandering out in the woods out there on someone's private property, to get torn up. I almost feel like it's the spider trap, it's like you were saying, something luring you into the cage. Maybe they have clothes as a prop.
Yep, and he says that there's actually a team out there investigating these things. He can't think of the name off the top of his head, but there's teams investigating these screams and these random clothes showing up. So very interesting. Keep us posted. Folks out there, we have Celestial Oddities Paranormal Guys Facebook group. Jump on there. Feel free to leave us updates with things. Feel free to bring us on to ideas and topics. We're always looking for new things to talk about. We have another comment here that says, most of the time they take the form of a female child between 7 to 11. They're most playful little girls from 7. Yeah, it is a lot of times little girls. I'll be honest with you. There's some little boys from time to time, but a lot of times these spirits are taking the forms of little girls. I think because females in general get more sympathy than guys. Kids get more sympathy than adults. So a female child is going to get some of the most sympathy and be able to drink the most energy. So I think that that's interesting. Was it a demon? Azazel isn't the demon of decay. I don't know if you're saying that because you've heard me talk about this story before, Laura, or what, but that's fucking weird that you say that. So I will share another piece of information, and this is, once again, not jerking your chain. During this outing, I did a ritual at this location because I was asked to. Normally, paranormal locations, you can't do ritual. I was asked to come out here and do a necromantic and satanic ritual. And then for some reason, the place now shuns me and it has things on their website saying no rituals here and we don't stand for that. But they actually are the ones that invited me out. It's really weird. So we went out there and did it. I went out there and did it. And through the ghost box, there was an entity. You could feel the presence. And I said, I can feel something here right now. Who is here with us? And I shit you not. That's why I'm saying so mind-boggling that you just said that. The voice came through and says, I am Azazel. And I said, say it to me again. What was your name? And I knew what he said. And he came through again and said, I am Azazel. And then we have another voice actually coming through of another man saying it was Michael, the angel. And that's when I said, you're not welcome here right now. We're doing devilish shit. And later on, when the girl came through and started crying, says, someone needs to help me. I'm trapped. I'm trapped. And then later on says, what is it you want? And the voice started laughing and says, blood, give me blood. That wasn't Azazel. That was the spirit that lives in the house. But it's really strange you said that because Azazel or Azazel actually did come through the spirit box that night. And that's the only time I've ever gotten that spirit's voice coming through a box. So very interesting that you said that. Dan, you want to read a couple of these off, sir?
Yes. So there's actually two I want to comment on. One of them here says, West Virginia folklore states to never answer voices, whistling, or your name at night. If you do, you are inviting them into your home or your soul. Another comment here, which I actually do want to comment on. When something is decayed, it doesn't bleed. So wouldn't it want blood if it's been decaying forever? Now, Laura, I don't exactly know what you're referring to, but I will comment on that because I did a recent study on vampirism and zombies. And it turns out that we here on Earth, we do have zombies and vampires in the literal sense that you would know from entertainment. And the reason why that they crave blood or they need to feed on blood is because, well, obviously, if they're in a decaying vessel, their blood's not circulating. So they need not only chemicals, they need certain chemicals, certain properties that living blood actually still has, which can actually sustain them a little bit longer. But there's also an essence in the blood of a living being as well. Certain keywords I won't maybe say out loud, but there's like a formula, a remnant inside the human body or living blood that they can use as a sustenance source as well. So that's why vampires and zombies crave blood, and we do have them. They are real. They just live in hiding. They're not going to run out in the public and just attack somebody like you would see in the movies. It's much more private than that, but they do exist.
Question, Dan, maybe you can help me because I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yes.
It reminds me of the movie. It's a zombie movie, not Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead. The one that's kind of comical, where like the military drops the barrel off the back of the vehicle in the first one, and there's a zombie in it, and they let it out. And the one
Day of the Dead, but not Day of the Dead. Yeah.
There's the one with
it's older, right?
Glass all over through face. Yeah, it was like in the 90s.
Yes, I've seen it.
Oh, well, I can't.
Because there's the one zombie in the barrel that falls off the back of the truck.
Yes,
remember?
That's the original one. So the reason I bring it up is the third one of that series, and I'm fucking drawing a blank, and I don't know why. I always know the name of this movie. Someone said Living Dead, but that's not it. It's Night of the Living. Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. Is it Night of the Living Dead? I don't know. Anyway,
no. There's a trilogy of them. There's 3 of them. And they were like
so the third one. Well, the reason I bring up the third one, there's a doctor that straps down one of the zombies of a woman, and the zombie's actually talking, which is hilarious. Like the zombie's talking like you or I, and he's like, "What is it? Why do you do what you do?" And she's like, "Pain. We're in pain. We're suffering." And he's talking to her, and he's like, "Why? Why are you suffering?" She's like, it hurts to die. It hurts when you're dead. And he's like, well, then why do you eat brains? She says, because when we eat the brains, the pain stops for a while. It's the same type of thing. The blood, the brains, when they feast for a little bit of time, their pain goes away and then it returns. So they need to eat again. So it's a different perspective on zombies that when you die, you're not at peace. When you die, you're in excruciating pain, and the only way to stop it's eating brains.
I see that.
So it's a very interesting thing when you said that there are vampires and zombies out there. Well, maybe they're feeding because they're not hungry, but they're feeding to stop their pain.
Fascinating. I could see that actually being the case.
So no, that's interesting. Return of the Living Dead. Thank you, Sylvia. I knew I could not think of it.
Nice.
Return of the Living Dead 3. I believe it was. Now I'm going to read off one of these stories. We got a couple of them. So the first one, let's go to Sadie's story here. And it says, boom, 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 boom. Where the hell did it go? I just had it. Hello, Mr. Crow. I just recently started listening to your podcast and sort of just by good luck, I guess you can say, stumbled into your show, which I'm very grateful for that. I had this experience and can't tell if it was a night terror or sleep paralysis type of terror. Something happened, I want to say like 3 months ago, more or less, and still can't figure out what the heck it was or if anyone has experienced this. So here I go. So I'm asleep in my room, deep sleep, but in the dream state. I see myself asleep, and then I'm back in my body. And in my sleep, I finally wake up with the feeling of something staring me down. With my eyes moving only, I look at the floor, and I see this, best I can describe, just solid jet black shape next to my bedside, but its shape is weird and twisted like a pretzel, but spiky all over, about the size of a small dog. I couldn't see any eyes, but I can tell, or I can feel it's studying me and just watching. As much as I wanted to move, I couldn't, and what I'm sure must have been seconds seemed like hours of us just staring at each other or staring each other down. All of a sudden, I get this feeling besides being freaked out, right, that I wanted to do something malicious to, or that it wanted to do something malicious to me. I could feel the adrenaline just building up, and then it jumps into my direction like it was about to attack me, but that's when I finally woke up. But when I woke up, I was already in the position with my heart pounding, and I swear it felt like it was still in the room with me, but I couldn't see it. I actually couldn't go back to sleep that night. This happened around 2:55 a.m.-ish. Has anyone ever experienced anything like this, or what do you think it might have been? Look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you. Daniel, take this one for me, brother.
I mean, all kinds of things happen when we're in that vulnerable state of being. And I just learned recently that when someone's sleeping or they're laying down or they're in the dream state, they're more vulnerable to lower astral entities, like beings like the shadow people or a hat man is a very common one. We could even have extraterrestrial contact, both positive and negative, while we're sleeping or in the dream state. And I feel like you have to understand that your consciousness is very, very responsible for creating your own reality to a degree. You're not just like experiencing reality, but you're also creating it. And your consciousness will, when you go to sleep and you fall asleep, you're not actually going to sleep, but you're just moving your perception to another realm. And time will start to move differently. It'll slow down and speed up to the small version of yourself that's still connected to the body while it's asleep. And there can be slippages and disconnects. Things can like desync, where you can lose time, you can gain time, you can overlap, you can feel like almost like you're separating from your body. When your consciousness shifts to other realms, to other states, people who tend to astral travel, remote view, things like that, astral project, can really slip really, really far away from the physical vessel. And when the consciousness shifts so far away from the physical vessel, you can have like these like snapping experiences where the two versions of reality, your physical 3D one and the astral spiritual one, where your consciousness fractals, when we go to sleep, we're in the dream state. We're now having access to ourself and all these other entities that are around us from the astral realm. I think that this person probably experienced like a combination of like a disconnect in time, a disconnect from the physical vessel, some slippages in, what I call time dilation. This is sort of the direction that I'm going, where this person had like this desync in versions of reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think that as our consciousness slips into other realms of sleep, and there's many different realms out there, things can come through to kind of bizarre and scary to us, terrifying. Why that accompanies often sleep paralysis, I don't know. That's a mystery we've talked about before, folks. Segue again, it works out perfectly. We have an episode a couple seasons ago, sleep paralysis. I think it was season 1, where we talk in depth about sleep paralysis and specifically other people's accounts of sleep paralysis. So Sadie, or in this case Sylvia, same person. You can go check out our old episode. I can't remember what season. I think it was season 1, where we do talk about it. And you could hear some other accounts very similar. Daniel has even talked about some of his sleep paralysis cases
Many
before
times.
of werewolf type creatures,
Yes.
coming out with long fingernails and kind of bony fingers. We've had other
Yes.
people talk about the Hat Man, which is a very common one.
Multiple time. That guy is just like all over the place.
Yeah, he's all over the place, and I think it's like a specific race of being that wears these hats. Why they like fedora hats, I don't know. Maybe it's fashionable in their world now. They're like 1940s, but now. So, and I hear a lot about the robed beings that are like occult robes, where they come fully
Yep.
robed, and there's several.
I've seen
of
them
them.
all.
Yeah,
I've seen the
there's
spiders.
usually
The
3 or
big
4 of them
spiders.
for some reason.
Yep.
When the robe ones come, they're never alone. They're always with a group of them. So it's like,
And you hear the static. And then it's always accompanied by the robed person standing in the corner, or the giant black spiders, or the Hat Man. I've even heard men speaking English in my room during sleep paralysis. I mean, like groups of men that sounded like they were bringing me back from somewhere. I mean, you name it. I've had every experience in sleep paralysis I've had.
It's very interesting. Now, folks, we're going to try to do our best to hit these comments up. We are so appreciative of how much comments you're leaving tonight. Probably won't get through them all because we have another story. It's long as hell, and I want to hear Daniel's adventure in West Virginia because we haven't talked since he went. But let's jump through these, a couple of these real quick. My little sister, when she was very young, used to sleepwalk at night, but she used to walk with her hand out like she was being guided. All I can remember is whatever it was terrified me and my other family members. It's not letting me finish. Let me look. But my other family members, but her. What's weird is I used to sleepwalk as a child all the time, like in detailed sleepwalking. I would, end up in different areas of the house downstairs. I'd have to be led back to my room from my parents. Don't remember any of it. I'd wake up the next day and be told about these stories. I would walk into the wall over and over again, back up, walk into the wall, back up. I don't remember any of it, and I haven't done it since I was a kid, but there was a several-year period of my life where I sleepwalked all the time, and I grew up in an extraordinarily haunted house that was very fucked up, which kind of made me into who I am today. But I mean, I think they had a big part of it, some type of spiritual influence there. Let's see a couple of the others here.
Yeah, Hunter, we have spirit guides too that are often, very positive presence in our life. And sometimes when we are sleeping, like I mentioned, when your consciousness goes to another realm, you can actually reach your spirit guides in the dream state. And if she was sleepwalking, her physical vessel is still connected to her consciousness, but the focus is turned away to the spirit realm, to the dream realm, where they might be having contact with the spirit guides. So if she's walking around the house, her hand is out almost like she's being guided. I think that oftentimes our spirit guides will take the opportunity of the dream state to make contact with us, which is why she might not have been scared or upset or uncomfortable with this interaction, because it's not always negative, scary monsters in our dreams, but sometimes our loved ones, sometimes family members from other lifetimes, sometimes our spirit guides. So that's pretty cool.
No, I agree with that 100%. I've had sleep paralysis from the ages of 12 to 18. I hated going to bed because once in a while I would hear, I'm going to take us, or I'm going to, wait, what? I'm going to take a skin from your skull. I think it's meant to say, I'm going to take the skin from your skull and place it next to mine, which is a fucking weird thing to hear. And its body falls asleep before your brain does. Yeah, it's that's a whole kind of topic in itself, the whole sleep state, wandering around, sleep paralysis, sleepwalking, sleep talking. Some people don't talk at all in their sleep. My stepbrother, growing up when we were teenagers, he would talk in his sleep, like full conversations. I still to this day have never met anybody to talk like him. I mean, he has conversations. Right. You could talk to this fucking guy. It was like what you see in cartoons. I'd be like, where did you hide the buried treasure? It's under the stairs. I'm like, all right, man, I got you. But legitimately, he would he would answer you in your sleep, but he would be sleeping. It was crazy. We have Tom here saying, I have had many episodes of sleep paralysis. Worst case was demon-like creatures screaming in my face. Yeah, that's very interesting. I personally, not that I want to, have never experienced sleep paralysis or shadow beings in a sleep sense. I've seen shadow beings in the world
Like
being out
waking state.
in waking state. I've never experienced it in sleep. I've never experienced sleep paralysis. I don't want to, so we're gonna go and skip that. I'm into a lot
Lucky
of weird
you.
shit, and I like having experiences. That's one I'll skip. I'd just prefer not to. Oh shit, that's crazy. That's what happened to me in my story. Um, I screamed back, "Fuck you! You're not getting me," Tom said. Natasha said, "Sounds familiar. I'm not even sure at this point what that's to because there's so many comments coming in." The Hat Man and the Old Woman. Yes, there's a lot of tells of the Hag Woman in shadow being form, which is interesting because normally you can't see features. You can see the shape of a hat, but the Hag Woman, people actually say they see like a witch-like woman, but she's like
Right.
very dark, and it makes me think she's something else because you see her features. Any shadow beings I've ever seen or the stories Daniel and I get, often you see no features. You see a robe, you see the hat, you see the hand, you never see
Right.
their actual face. They like, being hidden. Can the sleep paralysis entities harm? I think yes, they can. Other than fear and cardiac events. I don't know. I haven't had anybody say that they've necessarily hurt them. I know that a lot of times they do bring a natural terror where people that experience them are just in fucking absolute terror. Not because, oh my God, it's scary. Their presence just brings fear. I work with beings that actually the same thing. When you summon or conjure these beings and they come, even though I work with them and we work together, their presence just brings fear. As someone who respects them and works with them, once they show up, you still feel terror. You still feel like, holy shit, I'm in the presence of a lion that could rip my face off. There's just a fear there that it brings that can't be explained.
I still to this day, I don't exactly have sleep paralysis anymore because I taught myself how to conquer it. It is something that you can actually resolve. But the astral entities that like to feed on fear, they feed on anxiety, they feed on stress. They can give you actually physical symptoms, things like sleep apnea. They can give you arrhythmia. They can upset your breathing patterns and disturb your sleep so that you actually go into a physical distressed state because they do feed on the type of anxiety and the fear and the stress that you can have when you're vulnerable in this sleeping state. So they'll try to induce things that will put you into a negative, low vibrational state of being because they actually feed on it as a food source. And one thing I can tell you about the shadow people is they're not like demonic or daemonic entities. The shadow people specifically, they're actually just a race of beings like humans that exist in another realm, another plane, and their source of energy, their sustenance happens to be parasitic in nature. And it's funny because I woke up about a week and a half ago. And like I said, I don't have sleep paralysis anymore because I can pull myself out of it immediately. So it just stopped happening. But I woke up and to the left of my bed, I have this clothing rack, and then it leads to the door of my bedroom, which is always opened. We always leave our door open because there isn't even technically a door there. And next to right in front of, in between my bed and the clothing rack, there was a little shadow guy there. And he was about 4 feet tall, and he didn't have, like we said, no definable features, no specific look to him other than he was like wispy, like a humanoid. He had arms and legs, but here's the one thing is he was like kind of turned around like this. When I caught him, I opened my eyes. He was kind of turned around, looking back at me like this, and he was hunched over a little bit, and his eyes had like this gold glow, almost like they were reflecting light, but there wasn't any light source in the room to reflect. They had like a golden glow. This little shadow person I saw in my room maybe like a week and a half ago, his eyes had like a golden glow to them, like a sheen, but there was no light source for the light. It's just his eyes produced that.
That's interesting.
And I like to fuck with them. I'm not afraid of them at all. I have zero fear when I see them in my room because I know that they're desperate. They're desperate for something that they know that I can give them. But the second I wake up and I snap out of sleep, and if there's any entities in my room that don't belong there, I banish them immediately. It's almost fun. I smile and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in here? I hold out my hand. Sometimes I'll hold out my hand and I'll snap my fingers and they'll just vanish, like turn into just smoke, and they're gone. And I'm like fully awake. I'm not in like a altered state or anything. and they just leave the second that they know that I know they're there, they're gone, because they're not technically supposed to be interacting with our realm, with our version of reality. And so that conquers any fear I have of the Hat Man or the shadow people. I had a girl ask me last night, how do I banish the Hat Man? Because I see him all the time, even sometimes when I'm awake, when I'm not asleep and I'm not having sleep paralysis, but I'll see him in a doorway in my house when I'm conscious. What do I do? Why is he stalking me? And I'm like, listen, one thing you have to understand is they know they're not supposed to be there. They know they're not supposed to interact with you. There's a law to the separation between our versions of reality. So if you catch them and you're conscious of their presence, you have all of the power. You are completely in control of what happens next, because this is your version of reality. They have their own. They can come here, they can fuck with us, they can try to instill fear and anxiety and stress so they can feed on that like an energy source, but it's only, in a sense, smoke and mirrors. All they can do is try to instigate your reaction to them. But if you accept and understand that this is your version of reality right now, and they can only fuck with you when you're sleeping or when you're maybe having like an out-of-body experience where you're inviting that type of contact, other than that, this is your reality. You're in control here. And if you don't want to fuck with them and you don't want to be harassed by them, then all you have to do is just be conscious of the situation and say, no, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
And that does work. I mean, even you should always be the captain of your ship. And
yeah,
the thing is I mean, there's different degrees of it. So yeah, some beings you just say, I'm in control here, get the hell out of here, and they leave. Even in ritual magic, you should remain control. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be like, step out of turn, but you want to show that I have the dominance here. I am in control. Now, with that said, folks, there are some beings you don't want to push that limit to. I had a talk with a friend recently on how important ritual circles are and how important proper license to depart or banishing afterwards is, because you can show dominance. That being listens to you. That being obeys you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't properly discharge that being afterwards. And you're only protected because of the boundaries that you mentally and astrally set up in your circle. That's why circles are important, not just for protection, but for several other things. I had a whole speech on it. You guys want to hear it? I'm willing to do it again sometime. You step out of that circle after ritual without banishing and telling this thing you've given it license to depart.
Right.
You've now pissed off a lion from inside a cage, and then you walked out of the cage, or into its cage rather. Still thinking everything's cool. And it's like, well, yeah, while you're in there with your stick fucker, you were in control, but now you walked into my cage and you don't have the stick no more. So you have to be very careful with certain beings. Now, Daniel, what you said was interesting, because my father had a dream recently concerning me. Has never had a shadow being experience in his life.
Okay.
He had a very dark shadow being where in the middle of his chest glue a very large, bright golden rock.
Yep.
And he's never had an experience like this. And it talked to him in his dream specifically about me. And then months later, it came again and walked past him and laughed in a sinister voice, and then talked to him specifically as a message for me again. So 2 different times gave him a message to tell me. And he's only 2 experiences he's ever had in his life concerning that type of thing was from a being that was a shadow being that emitted golden rays of light. So very, very interesting that you brought that up. A few other comments here, and I have a story that someone sent in I need to read, which is super long.
The book. Got it.
The book. And then I'll let you tell your story of West Virginia. So let me catch up on a couple of these. I agree. I'm not afraid of any paranormal spirits or entities. I'm stronger than anything out there. Take control. Yes and no, Tom. Yes and no, brother. I mean, I agree that we need to stand up for ourselves, but there are beings I can tell you that I work with that would fucking annihilate people. And that's not to be like hardcore, like to stroke my own ego. There's things that I work with that I know could kill me if they wanted to. Don't matter how much dominance I show, they could fucking just tear me apart. Now, we had the comment that said, and I want to go back to it real quick, reminds me of no, that's not it. I've only ever had sleepwalking experiences whenever I lived in the center of an Okinawan graveyard. Terry, you're an interesting cat that we had on the show. You're interesting. You lived in an Okinawan graveyard in Okinawa, Japan. So that's interesting. We've talked about the Anokagahara forest before and how that's one of my bucket list items. I just want to roam that forest at night by myself, which is terrifying, but it kind of gets me hard a little bit.
You bring the rope, you tie the rope off.
That's
and
it.
you-
Tie the rope off, and then
so
someone
that you
cuts
can
the
get
fucker in the
back.
middle of the night. The circle speech was awesome and very enlightening. Thank you, Stacy. I want to go further into that at some point because there's a common misconception in magic. People always want to be like, I don't need protection from these beings. Circles aren't only for protection, folks, as I've talked about a million times. There's about 5 different layers of what they're actually used for. Protection is one of them. And all these people that ego stroke themselves and are like, I am so powerful that I can work with devils and they'll never harm me. Yeah, you're going to die, bro. Like real shit, not this fantasy magic that you're doing. Well, when you're actually doing what the fuck I'm doing, do that and see what happens. It's not going to work out good for you. Circle speech was awesome. Let's do these last 2, and then I'm going to jump into the story. Replying to Tom Barker, I see enough of them not to be scared, but sometimes depending on how they look or how big they are, it does give me the creeps. And then we have told you I could talk forever. You did, Terry, and that's okay. Now let's jump into this book. I got a story here about a haunted mirror. This comes to us from Stacy. Let me pull this shit up. Okay. Hi, guys. I would love to share the story I have about a mirror we believe had an attachment that was in my daughter's room. To start the story, we bought our house in 2013 and moved out of a condo for more space. I had just had my son and we needed another bedroom. My daughter was 8 at the time and was very happy, or a very happy, playful child, excuse me. The new house was nice, had a welcoming feel to it right away, and had enough rooms for everyone. 2 of the bedrooms had long mirrors left behind in them. We didn't think anything about them and left them there. I had always wanted a long mirror in my bedroom, so I was excited. One of these mirrors was in my daughter's room. I know what you're thinking, but it was not an antique mirror. It was a newer mirror from IKEA. Those are the most haunted, IKEA mirrors. As the years passed, my daughter started to show abilities as an empath. She had also developed a problem with handling her emotions and anxiety. Little things would send her into tears or anger, and she and I had begun to fight more and more. This all felt so unusual to me as we had always been so close, but I chalked it up to the teenage years taking its toll. In 2020/2021, I started to delve into the left-hand path and found Little Shop of Lilith, where Natasha and Brittany had taught me so much along my path. I had a growing uneasy feeling about the mirror in my daughter's room and had done a mirror lock spell on it with black salt to try and help protect her. I wasn't sure it helped much, but I did notice a small change. I saw a TikTok about someone using the Ghost Tube app that can supposedly pick up words from spirits and thought it might be fun to see if it picked anything up in our house. I had recently found out an old owner of our home passed away in the kitchen a while back and wondered if she was still here. We got a few words upstairs about a sailor, a few random words in our living room. But in my daughter's room, we always got words like hell, evil. We have saged her room multiple times, salted the doors and windows, but it has always had an odd feeling, and I could never stay in her room for very long. If I tried to stay in there while she was home, we would always end up fighting. I noticed more and more that my son and husband were also starting to get angry quicker and fighting more. When my daughter went on a band trip in the winter of 2021, I went into her room by myself and used the Ghost Tube app. I asked if there was someone in her room. The words I got from the app were hell, grandfather, murdered, shopkeeper. I told the spirit that whoever it was, we were not the ones who did anything to him. We were new owners of the house, and it was our space. They were to leave my daughter alone. I then asked if there was something attached to the mirror in her room. It immediately responded yes. I had full body chills. I immediately took the mirror off the wall. I could almost feel the evil coming from the mirror and felt tingling when I touched it. I took it outside of my house, placed it face down on the porch, and went back inside and saged my whole house, telling whatever the spirit was, it was not welcome back in my house and had to leave. I talked to my daughter later that day to check on her while she was in Florida, and she said how she had been fine most of the day, but around 3:30 she had almost passed out. This was the same time I took the mirror out of the house and cleansed everything. I didn't tell her as to not alarm her while she was away. When she came home a few days later, she mentioned that her room felt lighter. She could actually hear the sounds outside her window now, and my husband and I are now able to stay in her room without fighting with her. Her anxiety has decreased and she's handling her emotions better. She is also in counseling to help with anything left behind from what I assumed was an attachment as well. Everyone in the house just seems happier now, and I can't believe the change in myself and my husband since getting rid of the mirror. It was left out front of our house and someone stopped and picked it up. Poor bastards. I didn't know all that I know now, and whoever took it, I wish them luck with it. I don't know what was attached to that mirror, but I'm so happy that it is no longer haunting my family. Thank you for reading, Stacy. Well, Stacy, thank you so much for sending in your account of what has happened. And the thing is Daniel and I have actually talked about mirrors. There's a theme.
It's like
here,
we've hit
guys.
every topic, dude. I feel like we've gone over everything.
We've talked about a lot in these 4 seasons and these hundreds of hours of talking. And mirrors are portals, guys. I mean, clear cut. Mirrors, it's something they talk about in movies because, once again, there's legitimacy to it. Mirrors are doorways. They can be used as doorways. That's why people have been scrying with them since ancient times. That's why in a lot of cultures in the world, when someone died, one of the first things they did in the house was to throw drapes or curtains or blankets or something over all the mirrors in the house, not only because what Terry had talked about earlier, something can come in, it senses the death and it comes. It was to keep that doorway closed because that would happen. Someone died, someone comes to try to take that soul, someone comes to feed off that energy. It opens that astral doorway up, and all kinds of larvae or kayumbas come through and inhabit that house or then saturate that mirror. Once that doorway is open, they can saturate the mirror. So even if the doorway closes, now the door soaked in that larva juice, that slug juice, astral slugs. And that's a very real thing. So I think, Stacy, what it is you're experiencing is that something, maybe with the passing of the original homeowner, the woman, opened a doorway for the man that was murdered to come back through. Maybe he had nothing to do with this property. He could have been from another part of the world, but he's seen his doorway to jump back through and cause some havoc because he's pissed at what happened to him. That's probably a good, chance of what happened.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Thanks for sending that.
What else we got here? We do a couple comments. You can tell us your West Virginia adventures. I have been attacked where something actually drew blood, but wasn't really scared, and seen some wild shit over the years. Oh my God, you need protection for everything. Like, come on, you need protection from squirrels. So people, whoever said they don't need protection, you're full of shit, says Laura. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things out there you have to be careful for. I have lots of mirrors, but only 2 are facing each other. And this podcast, if that's the proper term for this, laugh my ass off, is one of the coolest things I've ever watched. I'm gonna definitely watch a lot more. Hunter, please do, man. I mean, Daniel and I have covered everything from the man from Tared to the Tartarian mud floods to secret space program and super soldiers to organism 46B to everything in between. Shadow people missing 411. We have truly been blessed to bring you guys a lot of information. We love it, and we thank you for tuning in, especially tonight, how many comments you guys are leaving. If the book is my email, sorry that it's so long, Stacy. That's okay. I enjoyed reading it. It was actually very well written, so thank you. It was actually easy to read. Sometimes I get emails, or Daniel and I get emails. I'm trying to read it, and it is so fucked up with the word placement and stuff. I'm like trying to make sense of it. Both emails tonight were very easy to read, so thank you, ladies, for doing so. Yeah, there's a lot out there, guys. You have to be careful, protect yourself, ground, cleanse your home. Thing is, people don't cleanse. How many times have you fought with your partner, screamed at each other, hated each other in those moments? How many times have you had all these different emotions come, sorrow, sadness, happiness, joy, anger? Those things stick to the walls. And if you don't take time to clean them from time to time, they build up into monsters. And that's real shit. My son, one time, he's only 4 years old right now. We got into it. You know, feel bad saying I got into it with a 4-year-old, but I did. All right. It happens. So I think he was 3 at the time. We got into it. He was being bad. He wasn't listening. I spanked his butt and he got super enraged at me, started screaming at me. And you could see this, the absolute fury in his eyes, right? I went into the other room. My wife had him that night. We read to our kids every night. Since they've been born, both of them, 4-year-old and 2-year-old, we've read them 4 or 5 stories every night of their life. And I was with my daughter reading her stories. All of a sudden, as I'm sitting there, my face felt like it was on fire. I reached up and touched my face. I had welts going across my face. When I finished with my daughter, I put her down and went and looked in the mirror. I had 3 huge claw marks going the whole way across my face that were welded up. Now, you could say that's a paranormal experience. Sure, it was kind of supernatural or paranormal. My son's rage caused those scratches. You could say, what do you mean, Crow? I mean that those little minds, so undeveloped, so unfiltered, so unstructured and programmed, are raw. They're true. They're tapping into their abilities. His rage spiritually struck out against me. He didn't physically hit me. He was so enraged with me for yelling at him and spanking his butt that he caused astrally me to be attacked. And that's okay. Hey, that happens. He was pissed off at me. It happens. We get mad at each other sometimes. Everybody, I'm saying, in life. But a half an hour after that happened, sure enough, something slipped me across my face. And I mean, I had pictures of it. I sent it to my paranormal team. They're like, holy shit. 3 huge slices across or big scratches across my face, all welded up. So there's a lot of things we don't understand from a being standpoint, an entity standpoint, a cryptid or alien standpoint. But there's also, folks, the capabilities that we have as humans that seem supernatural, that maybe are in a way, that aren't always other things. Sometimes we cause our own manifestations. We cause our own visuals. We cause our own afflictions, or someone that we know is causing those afflictions to us, whether purposely or not. So something to think about.
No,
Daniel?
that's strong.
Absolutely. Why don't you finish us out with your tale, brother? I want to hear about this West Virginia trip, and then we'll close out for the evening. Folks, if you're leaving more comments, I'm jumping off at this point of jumping into the comments. There's too fucking many of them. I love you guys. Thank you. Daniel, finish us out, brother.
Yes, thank you for all the engagement tonight, chat. We really appreciate it. Okay, I had a small little thing, nothing too crazy here in West Virginia, but I do go about twice a year to a place. A friend of ours has an Airbnb that we stay at, and it's secluded. It's far into the mountains. It's in what's called as a radio free zone. There's no cell service there. It's very beautiful, private, serene, quiet. And my friend Caroline and I, we're monster hunters. You know, we're not afraid of the dark. We go cryptid hunting together, and she hasn't had as many experiences as I have had. And so when we get together, which is about twice a year, we oftentimes try to go out and just have some fun because, you know, she's really passionate about, you know, running into something that, you know, Sasquatch, the dog man, the trolls we've talked about tonight. She wants to meet him face to face, and she's not afraid of the dark. So this trip was different and unique in the sense that she brought her partner with her, which she never has before. It's usually just me, her, and Lauren. But she brought her partner, and her partner isn't particularly open to all of these types of spiritual things that we're talking about. She's not exactly open to the concept of like all of the cryptids and, you know, the shadow people and more of that sort of darker side of reality. Not that she is totally closed off from it, but she doesn't go cryptid hunting. She doesn't go ghost hunting. You know, she's just not really into that world. And because of that fact, the vibe was a little different this trip, even being somewhere that we've gone several times before together. So I think it was the first night we were there. And here are the two quick little things that happened. We did not find Bigfoot. We didn't find Sasquatch, not this time.
Well,
but something weird happened. So we go outside, and if you go outside out front when it's dark out, there's a little bit of light that will cast from like the kitchen window, from the porch, that will throw light down the trail where you can walk deep into the mountains, deep into the woods, deep into the forest. And the light only spills so far before it just turns into complete void. I'm talking like sensory deprivation, black, no light contamination. It's very, very dark, disorientingly dark. And her and I had already walked out there in the dark together and never had a negative experience. So there was really no apprehension or fear going outside together alone to talk and to catch up and to see, if we could maybe make some kind of contact, because we're always open to an experience out there. And as we're walking side by side, we're like, hey, let's go down the trail a little bit into the darkness and stand there for a little while, maybe do some meditation and just sort of see if anything shows up and go home. And so as we're walking down the trail to the point where the light that I told you spills from the porch, it doesn't reach anymore. It's like this point where you can see a little bit the trees in the forest, and then it's black. As we're getting up to that point in the trail where the light no longer reaches from the house, we both are looking ahead of us, and here's what we see. To the left of the trail in front of us, where the trees were creating this, canopy in a sense, dead trees, there was light reaching the top of the trees, probably about 15, 20 feet into the air. And we both see at the same time a giant shape, a giant pattern, a giant shadow wisp itself from in front of the trees and into the darkness, like a huge shape, a huge pattern. I don't mean a Sasquatch. It wasn't a Bigfoot. This was 15 feet off the ground. Didn't seem to have any legs, whatever it was. It was like a dark black shape that had some texture and some pattern to it. And it didn't make any noise. There wasn't any wind. It wasn't raining. But whatever it was wasn't touching the ground. It was like a phantom shape of black energy that just darted into the shadow as we walked closer to it. Almost like whatever this presence was had been perceiving her and I for 15 minutes as we were standing outside talking. And then when we started to walk into the woods together, it was just in our path. We were going to walk right towards it. So it just disappeared and darted into the woods. And when she saw it, she fucking panicked, dude. Uncharacteristically. Because in the past, she's just not she doesn't scare easy. She doesn't spook. She's got a pretty tough skin for this type of thing. And she fucking she grabs me really quick by the arm. And then she goes to turn around like she wanted to run. Because don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't know what it was. I don't have an answer. It wasn't a Bigfoot. It wasn't a Sasquatch. It didn't seem like it was physical, like it was fully in our realm. It felt like an energy source, and it was black in nature, and it was off the ground, and it wisped almost like a gust of smoke into the darkness. And then I grab her, she goes to run. She literally turned around like she was going to run, and I grabbed her by her arm. She's holding my arm, and I'm looking straight ahead into the darkness, into the void, because you don't turn your back and run. Any predator loves it when you give them an easy kill. You don't turn your back. You don't turn around and run, because that's when you're chased. So I'm holding on to her, and I pull her back. I said, "It's okay. It's okay. Calm down. Calm down. Just stay here for a minute. Stay in it. Whatever it is." It whisked into the woods. It's gone. I saw it too. It didn't make any noise. It was a presence of some kind. It was not a Bigfoot, which we were hoping to experience. But it didn't feel good. And so I said, "You just don't turn your back and run like that. We'll back up together. We'll take a couple steps backwards together." I was holding her arm. She's holding mine. I was like, "It's okay. Just stay calm." And then she told me, she's like, I'm okay. I'm just I've been on edge this trip because we had been traveling, and I don't know what that was, but it wasn't what we expected. And I was like, "It's okay." So we backed up. And then when we got closer to the light, closer to the cabin, we turned around and we went back to the front porch. So she pulled me aside and she said, "You know what it is? I don't usually react that way. I'm not usually that scared of things, of the unknown." But she's like, "My partner is here and she isn't really open to these things. And in a sense, I kind of feel like a sense of protectiveness over her and her state of being and her wellness," which I completely understand and relate to. So she's like, "I don't feel as strong as I usually do in these situations because I feel like I'm buffering for myself and for her that isn't as comfortable with these things as I am. So she's like, I'm not on my game. I'm sorry. I almost ran off like that, but I'm okay. And I was like, it's all good. I'm with you. So we talked it out. We breathed it out. We went inside and we told everybody what happened because we had 2 other people there. And they were like a little creeped out by it, rightfully so. So the second part of this is that we have bear on the property. Me, Lauren, and Caroline, and her partner Elizabeth, we all encountered a bear on the trip, but it didn't like scare us or spook us. The property owner knows about him. You know, he breaks into like the local honey and stuff. He's kind of like a little troublemaker, but he's pretty harmless otherwise. He's never attacked any people. And we have a bear out there. It didn't bother us. What did happen was that same night, there is 2 beds in this cabin we stay in. There's a loft bed, which you have to climb a little ladder to get up to, and then there's another bed that's kind of like it's in the living room. Like you go in through the front door, and then there's like a large queen bed in there for extra people to stay in, and then you go a little further, there's the living room. Well, there's a screen door that latches shut right outside the door on the porch. This is pretty close to the bed that me and Lauren stay at. We always stay on the ground floor and they stay upstairs. And Lauren woke me up at like 2-3 in the morning, and she's shaking me. She's like, hey, wake up. Someone's on the porch. And I was like half asleep, and I'm like, what do you mean? I was like so out of it, super tired, because that was the day we had traveled up anyways, and I was like dog tired. And she said that the screen door opened. Like the screen door unlatched, and it opened all the way up, as wide as it can go. And then she's like, she was trying to wake me up. She said someone's on the porch. And mind you, there ain't nobody out there. There ain't no bears coming to open the screen door. And the property owner lives far away, and there aren't any other houses that are like within walking distance at 3 in the morning to this cabin. It's pretty private. It's pretty sequestered. So it would be unlikely that a person, you know, a civilian would come fuck with us at 2 in the morning. It's just very unlikely. We've also been there several times in the past and never had anything like that happen before. So I couldn't wake up. Now, normally speaking, I'm not afraid. If she felt like there was a predator or danger on the porch, I would get up, turn the porch light on, and investigate. But for whatever reason, I couldn't snap out of it. I couldn't bring myself to like fully wake up and get up and investigate it. And I fell back asleep while like my sweet girlfriend's like shaking me. She's like, hey, someone's on the porch. I felt so bad when she told me in the morning. So when she explained what had happened, she said that the screen door opened all the way up. The motion light came on the porch, so the whole fucking porch lit up, and she was too scared to go investigate it. Rightfully so, I don't blame her. She doesn't go out monster hunting in the dark like me and Caroline do. That's not her vibe either. She's open to it, but she's not going to go looking for trouble. So I felt really bad that I couldn't wake up to sort of investigate myself. But I do know that we make it a point, the doors are locked, and we make it a point to latch the screen door and turn all the porch lights off, but we leave the motion detector light on. So something came up to the house, and you know, you got to hit the button on the screen door to get it to unlatch to open it. So that's like, you know what I'm saying? That's not a bear. That's not an animal doing that. You have to hit the button and pull it open. And she said it opened all the way up, as wide as it can go. The motion light came on, and she was fucking terrified. And then the door closed on its own and shut. So that happened that same night that Caroline and I saw an entity of some kind out in the woods that was watching us from just that little space in between the light and the darkness where it gets completely pitch black and void. And Caroline was off her game and was very, very freaked out by that. Whereas in normal circumstances, she's pretty brave about those things. She doesn't spook easy. So those were the 2 experiences that we had over this 3-day trip in West Virginia. And it was pretty bizarre. No Bigfoot this time, but that's what happened. So there it is.
No, very interesting, man. I mean, there's a lot out there, like you said. I mean, in the woods, I talk about, I'm a rare bird, as most people out there know, and I'm a big advocate for telling people to do something that 99% of people will never do, and that is going out by yourself 100% alone. No cell phone, no nothing. And going miles into the woods by yourself at night and performing ritual, or just sitting if you're not a ritualist. But most people will be like, yeah, I'll do that, but they won't. Because let's face it, folks, there isn't much more scared or terror than you have being 3-4 miles from another human being. No phone, no car, no nothing. If a mountain lion, a lot of times people first thing they'll say is like, well, what if a fucking mountain lion or bear attacks me? You're dead, bro. You're dead. There's no, like, it's not a hidden secret. I don't have the fucking cheat code. You're going to die. But the point of it being is that you face your fear, you face all opposition, you face that hesitancy, and you fucking put yourself out there and say, I'm ready. Let's experience. And the thing is, guys, if you do that in a serious way and you show reverence and respect for the forest and the entities of the forest, the elementals, the nature spirits, the dead, and whatever else might be there, I promise you, if it doesn't happen the first time, you go out and do it 2 or 3 times by yourself at night, you will have mind bending. Like, I'm not just saying, oh, wow, like, oh, something spooked me. No, you have mind fucking bending experiences when you're by yourself. Friends, you'll still have great experiences. Do it 100% alone by yourself. And I promise you, you'll have wild shit that happens that'll change the course of your life forever. And it's something everyone should experience. Laura says, oh my God, I'm freaked out. Wow, I am freaking. Hell no. I'm not sure if she was saying that. I think she was saying that to your experience, Daniel. Yeah, I mean, it's out there, man. And like I said, West Virginia is a dense forest. There's a lot of shit that goes on there. She says, my fear is the great white shark, yet I'm not even going to try to face that. Phobia beyond. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not fucking with no sharks. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm not telling you to go swim in the ocean.
I don't like them either. It's
like, don't get me wrong. I might swim in the ocean. I'm not swimming in the ocean at night, miles out.
They're like the lions of the ocean.
I would probably rather get mauled by a pack of wolves than I would jump in the fucking ocean at night and swim.
But no, I hear what you're saying about, immersing out in nature.
Immerse it.
In this sensory deprivation and being cut off from technology, and like, you will have an experience.
You will. And I mean, the thing is most people won't do that. They say they would, and there's nothing wrong with it. As you guys did, go out with friends, because it's still, you'll have an experience. But there is a whole different element when you go out 100% alone. And it can't be like you're 400 yards from something. No, you have to be miles out alone. Park your car, hike the fuck in to a point where you're in dense woods, and you know that even if I wanted to get back to my car right now, I'm not going to be able to. I am at the mercy of what is in these woods. And when you give in and you let yourself go and say, if you want to kill me, I'm here, do it. But I'm here to talk with you, and I want to show you how serious I am, how much I'm willing to give and let loose to talk with you. The spirits resonate with that because they say, this motherfucker's real. Same reason when my team goes out and does investigations, we turn the cameras off 99% of the times. We don't have equipment going, and we say, we're not here to capture you. We're not here to treat you like a circus animal. Right. We are here to talk with you. I drove 7 hours today to talk with you and not capture you. That's when the wild shit happens, guys, because they realize you were there to certainly talk to them. Not that. Why do most ghost hunters go out? It's not because they want to talk. It's because they want to capture. They want to make themselves famous. They want to get buzz. They want to get clicks. They want to show them off like circus animals. But the ones that go out and say, I don't give a shit about that, I just want to talk to spirit, those are the ones that have the wild experiences. Ask my group. We went to our last 2 places, and I pulled probably 35, 40 hands of tarot I read. And the last 2 locations, out of those 35 to 40 hands that I pulled, 25 of them were the same hand of tarot. That's when you realize something's speaking to you, guys. When you throw the same cards, shuffle them, same cards, shuffle, same cards. It's impossible to have that many hands come the same way unless something is talking to you. When you have the dowsing rods that Natasha does while I do the cards, and we are throwing down a hand as the fucking dowsing rods cross over and over and over again, and then you throw in the equipment and they're hitting the REM pod, they're knocking, they're pounding on the walls at the same time. There's a certain method that you show that you're there to talk, and you work from a minimal, minute stage to a higher degree and tap into those spiritual zones, and things will come through. We'll read the last couple comments here, and then we will exit for the night. We want to thank all you guys for your support, your comments, the viewers that are still watching, everybody that clicked the QR code. If you can donate to the show, We would appreciate it. If you can't, that's okay. But you can do as little as $1 to as high as buying me and Daniel a mansion. So feel free to go in as much as you want to, guys. They are exactly that. No bottom half feels like it swallowed you. It's huge mist like smoke, darker than the darkness. They feel like it's everywhere. Do you think you saw a watcher? They are malevolent guardians of lands. So Laura's asking if what you experienced, Daniel, seemed to maybe be what she's calling a watcher, that are half mist in darkness that watch people and kind of move around as fog almost.
It's highly probable. I would say absolutely that's a probability. Sure. I have experienced that same type of entity in my house inside. So it looked the same as it did outside. It was only just larger, and I don't usually see them outside my house. So, but yes, the answer is it very well could have been that entity.
Yeah, I mean, she's calling them the watcher. I would normally call them lurkers of sorts, but I mean, it's same type of thing. When I think of watchers, I think of what you mentioned earlier, Laura, like Azazel and Shemyaza and some of the other angels, the Grigori, who are magnificent beings to work with. Shout out to my friend Frater Barabbas, who is about to release Liber Nephilim. Because of our talk on my show, Nights of the Nephilim, he's going to release that 2024, which is a grimoire specifically, the first of its kind, to summon and conjure the Nephilim giants and the angels associated, which all stemmed from our talk on the show, that he had this book for 20 years and he's decided to release it because I really pushed him doing it. So, Frater Barabbas, thank you, brother. Those are the watchers you got to watch out for. They can have a little bit adverse sides to them. They aren't always kind. Me too. It's like 10 feet tall. Well, these things are fucking huge. So then maybe you are talking the same type of watchers. But guys, like I said, thank you for tuning in. We're hoping to bring Jamie and Jenny maybe next episode, maybe one of the next ones after that. They are Bigfoot experts. They go out and do a lot of cryptid hunting. And we hope to bring them on either next episode or episode after that. We have a guy who is in Europe somewhere. I got to hunt down his contact information. He said he'd come onto the show. He's a UFO expert. He's been abducted, I think, 200 times, he says. He's got footage. He has all kinds of shit that's wild. He has footage of a dolphin flying in the air, which made the news in multiple countries because this dolphin's literally fucking swimming through the clouds, and it's real footage. So we're looking forward to bringing him on and some other guests. Message us at celestialoddities@gmail.com. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, any suggestions. And as Daniel always says, make sure you check out our Celestial Oddities Facebook group page. Engage with each other. Make friends with one another. It is a safe haven. We ain't ever going to judge you for whatever it is that you've experienced. Other people might laugh at you, tell you you're full of shit, try to debunk your experiences. But we understand that experiences go beyond pictures and video. It goes by your experience. So a picture sometimes doesn't do justice, where people will pick it apart and say, no. But there's also that feeling and that assurity that you know when you experience that even if these people pick apart your picture, you know it was real. There's a certain time that you just feel it. That's what our group's for, is to not be judged, is to make connection with one another. So check that out. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll be back in 2 weeks, which would be the 14th, the 23rd. The 23rd, we will be back with our next episode. In fact, actually, I think it's the 22nd, excuse me, because 23rd, I think, is Thanksgiving. So we will be back the day before that, Daniel and I had talked about. So we'll make sure we put posts up, check our Facebooks, Daniel James artist page, personal page, Frater Crow personal page, Celestial Oddities radio page. And other than that, thank you guys for everything. And keep hunting, keep searching. We love you, and we'll catch you next time.